Okay, right. So, UK Game Expo 2025. It's over. I survived. I'm home. I had a good night's sleep. I'm pretty drained by the whole affair because it was a lot, but a great time overall. And I want to talk about what I did, who I met, what I bought, and also, yeah, a couple of small things that kind of perhaps weren't so good, but we'll kind of get to those later. It was another bumper year for UK Game Expo. They released the attendance figures on the last day every year, and last year it was 60 something thousand visitors over the 3 days, and this year they hit 72,000, which is a record. They seem to be breaking this record every year. Of those 72,000, it said that 42,000 were unique visitors, that's a pretty big deal. I think UK Game Expo is the third biggest game expo in the world. I'm assuming that's after Essen and Gen Con. I don't know which one's the biggest out of those two, but those are the two that I assume are above it. And yeah, it's always fun to go to. And this year it was a little different for kind of reasons I'll get into in a bit. But I was lucky enough to get to go to the preview event. If you don't know, the preview event is a kind of like stripped down version of Expo where a good number of exhibitors will do a kind of like a mini show, a mini expo on the Thursday night for a couple of hours. They don't have their full setup there, but they've all got like a desk where you can go up to them. And because there's a lot less people there's a few hundred people there rather than tens of thousands. You can actually spend a bit of time talking to makers and creators and anyone that like you think you really want to dedicate some time talking to. And seeing what they're doing this year. It's just a lot easier to do it at the preview. And, sometimes you miss stuff at Expo because you can't fight your way through the crowds or your schedules don't align. So the preview is a really nice way of making sure you see all the things that you want to see there. That not everyone is at the preview, but like a good number of people are. So if you can get into that preview, it is well worth doing. The con itself had a different layout this year. I can't quite remember why, but they had to change the configuration of the halls this year. They announced this last year, so we kind of knew it was going to happen, but I can't remember the reason why. But they did, and I got so lost. Even though the halls were all next to each other, they were configured in such a way that they kind of formed one big hall, and previous years had one of the halls linked to the other with a staircase, which was kind of my landmark, and that's how I like knew where I was going, because I knew I was either in the hall with the staircase or the one that didn't have the staircase. And now that wasn't a part of it, I just generally had no idea where I was. I don't know if this says more about me than it does about the organization of UK Game Expo. I think it probably does. But like I would see a stand and I'd be like, oh, I'll come back to that. And then like later on, I'd be like, where the fuck was that place? Because I have no idea. But yeah, it seemed the positive thing about this, about the moving of the halls, is it was way less congested, especially on the Saturday when, usually I'll do anything to avoid going on the con floor on a Saturday because it's the busiest day. Because a lot of people who come for one day, a lot of the time come on the Saturday. So it gets really bad, and the way that the whole layout was before, like a lot of the streets were quite narrow, and it was just really hard to get anywhere. But this year, it seemed the congestion was alleviated quite a lot, and it just felt a bit easier to navigate, even though I couldn't remember where anything was. So I did a fair few hours on the con floor on Friday, kind of seeing what was what, buying a few things, saying hello to a few people that I'd never met before, which was really nice. And then I went into the first of the live shows that I saw this year. I saw Off With Your Head, which I thought was a really funny interactive game show where they have a couple of people on stage who are rulers of a kingdom and the audience of the kingdom, and us lowly peasants have to vote and react to how well we think they're doing. And the whole aim of the game show is to see how long each ruler can stay on the throne before being violently deposed or kind of dying after a benevolent reign. And it was a really good time. Like, the members of the audience get picked out to serve roles in the kingdom. Yeah, it was a good time. I had really like a lot of fun with it. That will probably come back to, that was their first year, I think, playing this year. And I think that could be a staple. The way that the dark room is on kind of Friday and Saturday nights, I think Off With Your Head could be something that plays the UK Game Expo every year. And if it does come back, check it out, because I had a lot of fun with it. Whilst we're on the subject of live shows, I figured I may as well kind of talk about all the talks and seminars that I kind of saw now. I saw the solo RPG and wargame seminar that was by Modifius. That was really cool. That was nice to see Ironsworn getting a shout out. Modifius publish Starforged anyway, so it was nice to see them shouting that out and talking about that. I then, on the Saturday, saw a really interesting talk by an academic from Coventry University who had been doing a 10-year study about the effects of role-playing games on international students in relation to their language skills, their problem-solving abilities, their empathy, and that was absolutely fascinating and really enlightening. And it's something that I'm kind of vaguely interested in, the wider impact and benefit of role-playing games in particular. And that was a super interesting talk. The results were very surprising to me anyway. I also got to see, on the final day, got to see a couple of Bad Spot alumni, Maddie Searle and Michelle Kelly, doing a live duet playthrough of Haunting, which was really fun, where they kind of defined a haunted house and the people who kind of live in it over time. That was really cool. And yeah, that was a good time. What else did I do in terms of role playing at open sessions? I played only one this year. I played Dagger Heart, which was, it's kind of flavor of the month because it's just come out, and it was such a hot property that they sold all however many 100 copies they brought to the expo in 90 minutes, I think. So I spoke to one of the GMs there at the open tables, and they were saying that like demand had been so high, they only got a limited amount of stock. I think it said two or 300 they brought with them, and they sold them immediately on Friday morning. So when I walked past the Darrington press stand in the afternoon of Friday and just saw nothing there, I was like, oh, they didn't bring any, that's weird. But no, they did, but they sold them all pretty quick. So yeah, I suppose that bodes well for that game. What did I think of Dagger Heart? Well, I'm not going to get too into it because I'm going to talk about it elsewhere on the internet. Maybe not here, but somewhere else. So I kind of won't go too deep into the weeds of what I thought of it. But what I will say is for the 3 hours that I played it with a group of strangers, I had fun. The game is not aimed at me. It is not for me. But I appreciate the fact that it exists. I like generally what it's trying to do in its very small way, but it's not something I'm going to look at or be interested in playing again. But I'm glad I gave it a look, and I also got to play a frog who was a ninja, and I didn't have any agency in that character. That was just what I was assigned, and yeah, that was kind of cool. But yeah, that was the only role-playing game I played, and I feel like now I should segue into perhaps the kind of the negative part of this review of the expo, and it's not really that negative. It's just that like it would be remiss of me to review Expo 2025 and not mention it, but like there was definitely something fishy going on or something off, like behind the scenes at Expo, because I was rejected a press pass when I applied, which is absolutely fair enough. Like, I am not entitled to free entry or any of the privileges that are afforded to like actual press, right? I am someone with a small YouTube channel who is interested in covering UKGE, and getting a press pass makes it easier to do that, right? I got rejected, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like I say, I'm not entitled to access to an international convention, but I'd been granted it previously, and I didn't really know if I'd done something wrong. But I was like, okay, fair enough. Then I found out that a bunch of other people had been rejected, and some of those people were actual full-time games journalists. And I started to think that it was a bit odd, and I won't speak for any of these people, and I won't name them to kind of retain their anonymity or whatever, and it's not my place to share what they told me. But I started to wonder whether there'd been like a mistake, and I contacted Expo and was told that, in a really vague sense, that yes, I had been rejected by mistake. And the reasoning they gave, again, which I won't go too deep into because I don't want to like get anyone in Expo in trouble or whatever, but the reasoning they gave me was different to some of the reasoning they gave some other people, which I kind of found odd because and I think part of it was the volume of requests for press, or the volume of people asking for tickets or asking for comp passes. But even last year at the press event, it didn't seem like there was an egregious amount of press there, or like freeloaders there trying to get free stuff. Like, I considered myself a freeloader, but not being a quote unquote proper member of the press, although I don't really understand what that means. But yeah, like, it was kind of odd. And once they'd sorted it out, and after a phone call, and when they explained, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, there's just been a mistake, you're in, that's cool. I started to find that this wasn't just for press, that this had happened. There was a couple of people, more than a couple of people actually, who would have had a live show in the podcast thread, or had seminars in the seminar thread. And like, that's where I've done my show previously. The last 2 years, I've done a live show at Expo, and it appeared in the podcast thread. And when I've done it, the first year I got asked to do it, they were probably just short. The second year, they asked if I would like to do it again, if I was interested in doing it again. And this year, I said that I wouldn't do it again. I didn't tell them that. I just decided that I didn't want to do it this year. I just wanted to go and have like fun and kind of enjoy it on a more relaxed level, and not have the pressure of doing a live show in the middle, because it's quite draining and quite exhausting, especially like doing it by myself. So I was kind of awaiting them to come back to me and say, hey, are you wanting to do the show again this year? And I'd say, not this year, maybe next year. But I never received that email, but then didn't really think too much about it. And then I found out that a few other people who had successful shows in previous years had not been accepted. They'd been flat out rejected for a live show this year, which felt really weird. And then I found out that people who had had successful live shows in the past were being asked to reapply and not given a reason for rejection, apart from Expo saying that there had been too many applications, which is fine, but there were half the amount of shows this year. So last year there were 11 shows in that podcast thread, and this year there were 5. And if you're being rejected on the basis that there were too many applications, then that's clearly not true. And I just found the whole thing kind of odd, and I don't know why people were being rejected, or why people weren't being able to get shows on, whether there was like less time or less staff, or less resources. I don't know. But the problem is, and I guess the whole point of this little negative part of this review, is the people who got rejected still don't know why they were rejected. They still just got a thing saying, sorry, there's too many people there, but like, that's not borne out by the amount of shows that were on. And I think that, I don't know whether there needs to be a bit more transparency in what's going on there, because I feel like that has the potential to put people's nose out of joint. And, every year, for people who exist in the nerd sphere and this space, like, UK Game Expo is a massive deal, and it's, for a lot of people, that like retailers and performers alike, their biggest showcase and an opportunity to do something in person, and to not really know why you're not allowed to do that this year, like, just feels a bit like feel bad, I think. And yeah, that's kind of it. Although I would appreciate, I know this is just personal, like UK Game Expo, let us know what your policy on AI is, because the amount of fucking dog shit AI slop artwork I was forced to look at on banners for companies and their dog shit games, it was really depressing. There was some last year and there was loads this year. And like, I mean, I would like to say, yeah, ban it, but like, I know that's not realistic. But at least like make people disclose it or something, so we could, I'll put them in a separate hall so we can ridicule them or ignore them. But like, yeah, just I want to know where you stand on it, because it's not particularly clear. And the con that's supposed to celebrate creativity in the space and innovation in the space feels like weird to tolerate so much slop, essentially. So yeah, that was the negative part out of the way. Thanks for listening. Let's get to some good stuff. Well, I met some lovely people, right? And it was the highlight of the con for me was meeting people who that I'd not actually met in 3 dimensions. People that in the last year I've played like a lot of games with. People I know through just existing in the role-playing game space. People I've watched in shows, like watch their channels and stuff and listen to their podcasts, and actually being able to like actually meet them and hug them and, you know, see them and like find out that they're real, which was a real nice thing to do and to be part of. And yeah, there were people who had written Tales from the Drift for me that I'd met. There were people who had done voice work for my Sundered Isle stuff. That was great. People who read shanties for me. I got to meet a lot of fans. People, I had some limited edition badges made. I say I had them made. I made them with a badge maker. And I said, if anyone sees me, come and say hello. And I gave away a lot of badges to fans. I gave away a lot of sets of badges to patrons, which was really cool. And I think out of all of that, perhaps the highlight was the table for my Between game that's currently on my channel. We were all at Expo for about an hour, crossing over where we had free time, and it was just enough to kind of get a nice family photograph together. And, you know, the 4 of us have been kind of going through this very intense, dark game with lots of emotion in it, and to actually see each other and be like, hey, it's you, was really lovely. So to meet Jess, Michelle and Ren in person was an absolute joy. So yeah, I think it's time to have a look at my haul. I got a lot less than I did last year. Last year I got a lot of gifted things from the show event. I deliberately didn't seek any of that out. Free stuff is lovely, don't get me wrong, but I felt really bad because I got a lot of free stuff last year and I just haven't had the time to review or play it on the channel or do anything with it. Or when I got it home and read it, it was like, it's not really right for what I do, and I kind of felt a bit bad about that last year, so didn't seek any of that out this year. So everything that I've got I bought and paid for with my own hard-earned money, and I'm really excited about getting into a lot of it. Everything is like solo or co-op based, and let's go through it now. My first thing I was drawn to was Wreck This Deck by Becky Anderson. I already own this on a PDF, but I wanted to have a physical copy. The game about summoning demons and use a deck of cards, but you alter the deck as you go. Physically, you tear it, you write it, you burn it, whatever. And by the end, you're left with this 52 card deck, which is totally unique. And I think that's a really interesting conceit for a game, and I can't wait to give this one a go. The Almanac of Sanguin Paths by Rory Montford Press. I've got Dead Letter Society, which I think is a really wonderful game, and this one just, I was there looking at it and I was like, do I want a physical copy of Dead Letter Society or do I buy this? And I bought this. It's compatible with Dead Letter Society, but it's a completely different kind of standalone game. And I'm really looking forward to digging into this one. The book is gorgeous, and I love Rory's games. I think they're wonderful. And yeah, I really want to play this. Then I picked up Rosewood Abbey, which is obviously, anyone who knows me or has watched this channel, I am majorly carved from Brindlewood pilled, and this is the carved from Brindlewood game that's set in kind of like medieval monastery, so like Cadfael or In the Name of the Rose. Is it In the Name of the Rose or The Name of the Rose? Whichever that one is with Sean Connery when he's a monk, trying to solve a murder. Is Christian Slater in that? I think Christian Slater's in that. And it's really interesting. Like, I've like reading this through, and the fact that the first half of the book is a replay is really interesting to me. I'm kind of fascinated by replays. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe getting this out for a 2 or 3 shot at some point in the future. Then I got a double bill from Chriset. I got The Wretched and Blood in the Margins. Again, Wretched is one that I already own on PDF, but I couldn't resist getting a physical copy as it was right there. It'd be rude not to when I was standing at the stand. And then Blood in the Margins, which I saw crowdfund earlier this year. I think it was this year. But I kind of missed out on, just kind of slept on it. There's just too many things to back. But then I saw it again and I was like, you know what? I may as well. But I didn't know anything about it, and reading through it, it seems super dark, and one that I am really interested to get to the table. Lastly, a game that I've wanted for a while, but never got, was Coro, A Magical Year. Now, I bought the box because I like the look of it, and I'm actually kind of scared to open it because it's so beautifully packaged, and there's like little bits of art on the back here that I almost kind of don't want to ruin it, but I kind of feel like I'm just going to do it now. This is now an unboxing video, but yeah. Oh, that is very nice. So yes, Coro, A Magical Year. Again, I don't really know that much about this, but everyone I know who's played it says it's absolutely beautiful. Oh man, there's like loads of dice and cards, and that's pretty, isn't it? And I think just generally, like, I don't play any cozy games. I just don't have many of those games in my arsenal. So it'd be nice to give that a whirl. So yeah, that was my haul. I feel like it was pretty restrained. Only 6 things. I did get some extra stuff, some badges and some kind of stickers and things. But I think that I did all right. I was pretty focused. There was a couple of things that I wanted to get into. I felt like I really wanted to get into Moonstone, the miniatures game, and I wanted to buy Earthborn Rangers, the card game, both of which are kind of quite expensive things, but I resisted doing both of those and kind of kept it a bit more focused this year, which I'm pleased with. So yeah, that was UK Game Expo. I think that, the big thing for me was like, I've like had a bit of a rough year this year personally, and or the first 5 months of it anyway, and actually having a dedicated weekend where me and my friends could just hang out and have fun, and like new people that I've met and had fun with playing games over the last year, I actually got to see and interact with on outside of the confines of being there to play a game, to actually just hang out and have a nice time. And that's what it's all about, really, and that is what I liked most about it, and that is what I'll take most from UKGE 2025, like those little moments of sheer joy of playing games with people, talking games with people, and just, nerds are the best, right? We all know that. That's just science. So yeah, not long until next year, I suppose. Until next time, it's farewell and safe passage.